There are some new developments today on the status of the pastor sentenced to death in Iran after converting to Christianity. Youcef Nadarkhani was arrested back in 2009. There he is pictured with his family. He was found guilty of abandoning Islam. Iranian officials claimed that Nadarkhani was convicted on rape charges initially. Now, under intense international pressure, Iran admits that he is being held due to his Christianity. Jordan Sekulow is the executive director of the American Center for Law and Justice, and he joins me now. Jordan, welcome. This is a case that so many of us have followed closely in this country, and there are some pretty big new developments. Why have they changed the charges against him, and what did they change them to?
Well, it's taken 889 days for Iran to admit now that this is all about religion, all about his Christian faith, Pastor Youcef Nadarkhani's Christian faith. The change has come because the story, which started here on Fox News and in the U.S. and the Western world, has spread past the European Union, who's spoken out on Pastor Youcef Nadarkhani's behalf, to places where Iran has allies diplomatically, like Brazil. I was in Brazil a week and a half ago with the vice president of the country because it's become a huge story there. Brazil has full diplomatic relations. While I'm there, we had a team at the UN Human Rights Council, which had a special report on Iran. There, Mohammad Laranjani, whose brother is an Ayatollah, who's the head of the judiciary, he himself, Mohammed, is the head of Iran's Human Rights Division, and they do have one, heard the report at the UN Human Rights Council about Iran, spent all of his time on Pastor Naderkhani, and said, no, it's not that he's an apostate, not that he left Islam and became a Christian. It's because he has a house church, because he proselytized minors, and because he offended Islam. Even though we have religious freedom, because he said Jesus is the only way to heaven, he's offended Islam, and that's why he's on trial. First time Iran has said it's all about religion.
Well, let me ask you this. Now that they have these specific charges that clearly relate to his Christianity, does it make it harder or easier for them to let him go or to back off of this in any way?
I think it makes it a little bit easier from the back off because of what you've got now. It's not just ACLJ and our European affiliates, and not just the West. It's not just the White House, the State Department, or Europe, but it's countries that Iran relies on diplomatically and economically. Brazil cannot be lied to again. They did lie to the government of Brazil. We had a document given to us by a senator saying this had nothing to do about Nadarkhani's faith. He's not even a pastor. So the key is they still won't admit it's apostasy, and they still will not admit it's a death penalty, but we've got countries now engaged like Brazil, like the Netherlands, who are making sure he's alive every day. They've requested to go to Tehran to meet with Pastor Naderkhani. It's a huge development as the case continues to gather now international attention from governments, which is huge.
I mean, we genuinely hope that they will give that opportunity for some of these countries to visit him, to verify his well-being. There's a lot of arrests, though, of Christians going on in Iran. And do you think that this is, going to put the spotlight more squarely on this issue and the pressure on Iran and those other Christians who are being held in that country?
I read a report this week, and 17 more Christians were arrested. Some get let go after a couple of hours. Some are still in jail today. Others get charged for 2-3 years. What Pastor Nadarkhani represents is thousands of people who are in Iranian jails that are forgotten about. And Martha, he has no idea what's going on around the world about him. He refused to renounce his faith. He would have been let go. He refused to acknowledge Muhammad as a prophet. He would have been let go. And he does not know that the world is paying attention to him, and he's taking a stand. And in his case, why it's so important, why you've seen the world react this way, is because he represents the thousands of people who are forgotten about in these jails, who we don't have court documentation on.
You're so right. And hopefully they'll allow visitors in, and he'll get some sense of the groundswell and the support that exists for him and his fight around the world. And thank you, Jordan, for bringing a lot of attention to this. Good to talk to you again.
Thanks, Martha.